It's time for another tasty treat from our friends in Russia. It's another Kennerton headphone. This one's a closed back planar magnetic headphone called the Rognir, I think. So, big Kennerton fan, as you know if you've watched any of the other videos on the channel. Tried a bunch of their closed back dynamics, a bunch of their open back planars, and now getting to sample this very new closed back planar headphone. It's interesting. It's I mean, all the Kennerton stuff's got this sort of like weight and gravitas and sort of, somebody said, almost like steampunk sort of quality. And you know, this headphone's got its kind of cool industrial look as well. This headband is kind of their standard now, that's used across a lot of the line, and sort of has a bit of love-hate. It has two metal pieces going across right here, and on other headphones, if you whack them, you get some kind of little microphonic action. So I think this new little leatherette cover-up is designed to impede that, and it seems to pretty well. These are lighter than some of the other, or they feel lighter. I actually haven't checked the specs. They feel lighter than some of the other big planars I've tried from Kennerton. You know, they are sort of known for their woodwork, and these wood cups are awesome. There's some photos of the inside of them online that are very cool. They've got some crazy sort of fractal pattern inside, I guess, to help you know, diffuse the sound or bounce it around in the right way. These ones are the purple heart finish. They come in about, I don't know, half a dozen finishes, and they all look pretty good to me. But these are pretty nice. I think the photos online look like they might be a little over the top, but in person they're quite pretty. And they take the normal mini XLR, like all the other, well, all the big planar Kennertons do, and Odyssey and ZMF and everybody else. So very nice. You can cable swap if you've already got cables you like, which I do. Other quick notes on the build: the ear cups are a little bit shallow and they're not super generous. So I know other people have mentioned this as well. Like, if you have larger ears, you're probably going to feel the surface lightly touching you. Not necessarily uncomfortable, just if you're used to a big over the ear headphone where there's a lot of space, generous space inside the cavity. It's not the same with these. They almost feel like an on ear, even though the cups are big enough to go over ear. So I did try swapping with some of Kennerton's other pads to gain a little distance, and it completely jacked up the sound. So not really an option, not really worth it. Let's talk about the sound, right? That's why we listen to these things. These headphones for me are very much about clarity and impact. So the separation is fantastic. Elements are really clearly articulated. There's a bit of a dryness to them over the presentation overall, so I wouldn't consider these like a warm or rich headphone out of the box, although of course what you pair them with is going to influence that significantly. But they're very, very crisp and detailed. Think about it a little bit like the crispy bits on the edge of bacon, right? Like, they really pick up all this little micro detail on the edges of notes that I might have missed on some other headphones. So I think the level of detail retrieval compared to other Kennertons I've tried is just outstanding. Now, I haven't tried this top of the line open back planar, so I can't speak to that, but from what I've heard from them, this feels like kind of a little bit of a different level, which isn't surprising because this is kind of their newest headphone, in theory packing their latest technologies. Super punchy, like high toms, kicks, snares, like drums are just like, oh, they sound very real, very intense. If you're listening to like modern, you know, sort of producer beat-oriented music, it just sounds awesome. It's just super fun. It's fast. It's punchy. There's this song, Sun Sun, S-U-N-S-O-N, from Nils Fromm that I recommend listening to if you pick yourself up a pair of these, or if you pick up any other pair of headphones. It's an awesome song. But it's just like, oh, so rewarding, just so snappy and fun and sort of quick and intense. I'd say the upper mids and highs really come forward. They're really pronounced. The highs can get a little bright for my taste, and I know bright sort of a subjective word and a subjective way to think about headphones. If you have very young ears, they might sound kind of intense to you. If you have older ears, they might sound perfect. The bass is totally controlled. just super locked down. It's impactful. It feels rich. It feels heavy, but just so super tight, and just yeah, just right there, right there. They're just really a forceful and intense listening headphone, way more than other Kennertons I've heard. They're very forward. They demand your attention. They have a certain sharpness to them. They can get almost like a bit aggressive, a bit like relentless at times if you're listening to music that features a lot of intense elements. Like I was listening to a Go-Go Penguin remixes track, and at some points it was just like, oof, I need to take a break on this. And I think component matching's pretty important, right? I was listening to this on my trusty Deckware Taboo, so it's got a bit of that sort of smoothing and euphoric nature that comes with a great tube amp, but I still had to swap out some tubes for things that were a little bit less precise and a little less intense on their own, and gave a little more warmth and body to the signature to find a balance that really worked for me. The other pair of headphones I listen to very frequently on that amp is the LSA HB1s, and with that it's almost the opposite direction, where it's so full and rich that I'm usually trying to like pull out its detail retrieval capabilities with a tube configuration that's more sort of holographic and detailed in nature. So complete swap for these guys. It likes to be driven a little hard. It's asks for a little more power than some of the other Kennerton planars I've heard. So just a little bit less efficient, but that's fine. I mean, I think any modern high quality, if you're looking at a pair of headphones that's at this price tag, the amp you're running with it is probably going to be fine. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I sort of put this in between, like when I think of planars, I think of sort of a fullness and a weight matched with the detail. And when I think about like electrostatics, I think of sort of like an intensity and a speed and a lightness and an airiness. And I feel like these kind of straddle those two worlds. It's really interesting going back and forth between like these and the HB1s versus going back and forth between these and some of my E-stats. It was like hard to say which realm it was really closer to, almost closer to the E-stats in some ways. So yeah, just really interesting presentation. So yeah, let's just kind of wrap it up there. I guess the last thing I haven't said is these are closed back, right? Closed back headphones typically have a certain style of presentation. These do their damnedest to convince you that they're not closed back. They feel as open and spacious as many open back planars I've heard. So if you do actually need a closed back and you want some of the qualities that you're going to get from an open back, then these are definitely something you could consider. I was pretty blown away by how they stage and sort of, how they feel and the space and the separation and the imaging that you get. Words. Anyway, I guess to sum it up, if you're looking for something that is very detailed and has a lot of clarity and sharp edges and really, kind of comes at you with a lot of force and intention and sort of, like I said, demands your attention, I think these are really worth a listen because they're super impressive. If you are somebody who likes a little more body, a little more laid back of a headphone, something that you can kind of have on your ear and not necessarily listen to and then turn your focus to if you want, I don't know if you're going to love them. But, give them a try anyway. All right. If you haven't done so already, give it a subscribe, give it a like, all those great things. And until next time, this is Signcraft signing out.